There is no such thing as a good girl. Okay, that is the topic for today. You can see me in London at the apartments, overlooking some fancy buildings there. Corona madness going on behind us, but regardless of that, let's crack into the topic. So there is no such thing as a good girl, okay? And listen, guys, you need to get wise to this. You need to stop being naive. You need to understand how things are, how things really work, and just understand, I know some of you out there, you're sort of like, yeah, I'm not interested, these Tinder girls, they're not for me, these club girls, these bad girls, these club sluts, this is not what I'm interested in. I'm waiting for a good girl, I'm just waiting for that high quality woman so that I can make her my bride, and we're going to go and live with a white picket fence in Montana, and it's going to be amazing, and I'm going to beat the sexual marketplace, and it's all going to be fantastic. And what you have to realize is that a good girl doesn't exist. It's just not a thing. It's a category error to look for a good girl. Now, what I don't mean by that is that all women are bad, or that women act in women are sort of immoral, or you're always going to get screwed over in a relationship, because that's absolutely not the case. That's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is that women, like men, are both good and bad, depending on circumstances, depending on the time of life that they're in, depending on what's going on at the time, and depending on the options that they have. And so to say somebody is a good girl as opposed to somebody being a bad girl, it just doesn't really make sense. It's just not reality. If you look at your life, if you think about yourself, there's probably things that you've done in your life that have been good, and there are probably things that you've done in your life that you might describe as bad, or even if you don't describe them as bad, probably other people might describe them as bad. None of us have got a completely clean slate. None of us are, none of us are saints. None of us are angels. All of us have done things that are bad, or perhaps, even if they're not bad, objectively, they're things that other people have not appreciated. And we're all also capable of being good. We're all capable of being generous, loving, giving, and all of those kinds of things. So if that's the case for you, and I'm sure it is the case for you, because it's basically the case for every single human being on the planet, then why do you think it's any different for women? Why do you think it's any different for girls? Why do you think that somewhere out there there's this mythical kind of unicorn good girl who, just when you find her, then everything's going to be perfect, and none of this scary stuff that you've heard about on the internet that can happen with relationships, with divorce, with all of that stuff, none of that's going to happen to you. It's nuts. It's absolutely nuts if you think like that. It really is. It's just not the right way to... It's just not the right way to consider human nature, because human nature just isn't like that. Human nature is dualistic, all right? In fact, human nature is... it's more than dualistic, it's infinitely mutable, right? I mean, we all play so many different characters. I know I play different characters within my own life. I play different roles within my own life. And, I think I'm fundamentally a pretty good guy. I think I'm a decent guy. I think I'm kind. I try to be generous and all of these kinds of things. But there are people who would disagree with that. There are people who would say, well, no, I don't think that at all. I think he's they probably use some quite rude language, but they would say, well, I don't think he is, and other people would say, no, he's a great guy, he's cool. So it's all down to, for a start, good and bad is very subjective, because it depends on what side of the relationship you are and what you want to happen compared to what the other person wants to happen. And like I say, I mean, the way that people behave, the way that girls behave in relationships, is largely down to a lot of factors. It's largely down to the way that they feel emotionally. Of course, the tingles, the excitement. Is she feeling those tingles? Is she feeling that excitement with you? Or has it started to dissipate? And if it started to dissipate, then that is a problem. because she might look for that excitement elsewhere. But it's also down to other things like her time of life, how old she is, what she's looking to achieve in terms of settling down or not, in terms of excitement versus domesticity. And then it's down as well to opportunity, and of course one thing that we know in the current situation is that women have a lot of opportunity because we've got dating apps, blah de blah de blah, Tinder, all of these things we always bang on about. We know that there is a lot of opportunity out there. So, and she is going to act based on her opportunity and based on her feels, let's say, those emotions. So you've got to be, of course, be triggering good emotions. That's the one thing. You've got to be giving her, and when I say good emotions, that can be drama, that can be excitement, that can even sometimes be sadness, but you've got to be giving her something that is making her feel, and if you're not, then you might be in trouble. But don't think about people in terms of good or bad, because for the most part, and yes, of course, I know there are exceptions to this. I know there are very famous historical exceptions to this that we could reel off of people who are bad, people who are evil. But generally speaking, in the context that we're talking about, in the context of human relationships, people aren't really good or bad. They are opportunistic. They tend to be out for themselves, and I count men and women in this. I'm not just talking about one gender. I'm talking about all of us. Tend to be out for ourselves to some extent. Yes, we can be altruistic. Yes, we can be loving. Yes, we can make sacrifices. And that happens, absolutely. And will you meet somebody who is altruistic towards you and makes sacrifices for you and loves you? Well, I hope so. Yes, it's possible. But, just look around you. Look at the things that are happening out there. Look at the stories on the internet. Look at your friends. Look at their relationships. What are you seeing a lot of? You're seeing a lot of people not really settling down, people flitting from one person to the next. You're seeing a lot of infidelities happening, people going behind each other's backs. Why is that? Because they've got opportunity and because they are emotionally drawn to doing it. But it's not necessarily because they're good or bad, it's just because they're putting their interests first. And that really is the message for this video. Instead of thinking about people as being good or bad, instead of thinking about girls as being good or bad, why not instead think about yourself? Put yourself first. I don't mean be a complete jerk, but you've got to look after your interests. So you need to decide what those interests are, and then you need to make that decision to put yourself first, and because if you're looking after your own interests, right, then it's less likely that you're going to get screwed over by somebody else, because you'll have already accounted for that, because you'll already be doing exactly what you want to do. So that's what you want to do. You want to put yourself first. You want to keep your interests first and foremost in your mind. It doesn't mean being a complete jerk, but it does mean that everybody else comes secondary to you. And when you do that, when you get into that mindset, then you will automatically have to worry less about whether somebody is a good girl or a bad girl, because you'll already have insured for that within your general approach to the relationship. Anyway, it's getting really windy out here. I don't know if you can see. It's like sort of apocalyptic kind of weather going on at the moment. There's probably some corona blowing in as we speak from down there. So I'm going to leave it for now, but do support this channel by hitting subscribe. There's new videos every day, Monday to Friday. Get on my daily email list. The link is below. It's absolutely free. You get a free article from me every Monday to Friday. And even if, I get chucked off every social media network on the planet, you will still be able to get my content. So do that. And grab Renegade Dating Blueprint as well. It's 11 of my books about dating, the sexual marketplace game, all of that great stuff. It's only $39 at the moment. It's below. It's perfect if you're, stuck at home at the moment, if you're not really able to go out very much or whatever. Use this time effectively, do some study, read those books. It's really going to teach you everything you need to know, so that when the current situation eases, you'll come out of the gates running very quickly. Okay, I'm going to leave it there for now. Bye-bye.